Good morning. Good morning. Just trying to get set up here. Good morning and welcome to the Daycare Q&A Show. My name is Adrienne Bradley and of Thriving Childcare. And thank you for joining me here today. Today is May 8th, 2024, and this is episode 38. And thank you for joining me here. And if you are joining me for the first time, welcome. And if you are coming back, welcome back. And do me a favor, if you are joining me live, please say hi in the comments just so I can see you. Sometimes this dashboard is not Adrienne friendly, and I think it kind of helps if you say something. I do have my laptop open over here so that just in case I miss something on this main, on my desktop, that maybe I can see it over my laptop. So yeah, and if you are catching this on replay, type replay, if you will, in the comments, and so I can say hi to you too. Excuse me, and I forgot to get my water, so hopefully I don't get a coughing fit. Sometimes I get a coughing fit, and yeah, so anyway. If you are catching this on our YouTube channel, do me a favor and consider subscribing. That really helps us to grow. It helps our channel to reach more childcare providers, and I would very much appreciate it. Okay, so a few housekeeping notes. My dogs are in and out, and I say that because if they bark, I want you to know that it might startle me. I don't know if it's going to startle you, but it might startle me. So right now they're outside. Well, actually one's asleep right here. So hopefully there won't be any noises and it'll get them barking or anything. But I wanted you to know. Secondly, I always start off with a bit of a disclaimer by saying that the issues that we discuss here on the show and the opinions and advice that I give are my own. They come from my 20 plus years in the field of childcare, owning my own childcare business and running my own program, or from someone in my network of provider friends, something that they've gone through. And your business is your business. So if you hear something that vibes with you, that you feel would work in your own business, then by all means, take that. But if there's something that just isn't you or doesn't pertain to you, then feel free to leave that. So take what works and leave the rest. It's probably for somebody else. But what we do here is we try to give space for maybe a different perspective, because sometimes when you're going through things, you can't always see clear to even the way you would want to handle it, because you're right in the midst of it. So this is to try to give you a different perspective and maybe a recollection if you ever do find yourself in a similar situation. Sorry, my nose is itching. If you find yourself in a similar situation, then perhaps you can recall what we talked about here, and it will help you deal with the moment, okay? But again, take what works and leave the rest. I might have to get my water. I might have to. There's some right there on the counter. I might have to get it in a second. All right, so let's see. Third, I want to remind you, if you are joining me live and you have a question that you would like me to answer here, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I will try to get to it while the show is on, but in case I don't, I will come back afterwards and answer it. So feel free to leave whatever question you might have in the comments, all right? Let's see. And lastly, if you do have to leave early, as I said earlier, we do have a YouTube channel. I'm doing my best to move some of our older episodes, our previous episodes, over to the channel. And but there are quite a few that are already on the channel, and you can go over there and kind of binge watch or binge listen whenever you get a chance. So please do go over and check that out. But if you do have to leave early in this episode, know that I do keep it here on the page until I upload it to our YouTube channel. So if you have to leave, you can always come back here and continue watching the rest of the show whenever you do have time. Maybe over the weekend, or if you're driving around or something like that. Okay. So let's see. What is going on in the Thriving Childcare universe? Okay, first of all, our show today is sponsored by the Rise and Thrive Club, which is our members-only community for childcare providers. And I just want to show you, I have on our t-shirts. I don't know if you can see it, but it has our Rise and Thrive, and we got our little Rise and Thrive logo over there. And yeah, and if you join the membership, you will get this. And if you join as an annual member, you actually get a whole VIP members package, welcome members package. And it has a t-shirt, and this month it actually has our jacket that has the logo. It's really cool. It's a black satin jacket, and it has our logo on the back, and a lot of other goodies. But there is a link in the notes here today, so you can go over and check out all the benefits of the club, as well as our bonus package that's extra special for this week, which I'm about to get into. Everything that's going on this week. But do go over, click the link maybe after the show, and go over and check out the Rise and Thrive Club. Okay? All right. I'm reading from my notes here. Let me make sure I have this up. Okay, cool. So I can see. Okay. All right. So I have a question for you. What does Mother's Day, Teachers Appreciation Week, and Provider Appreciation Day have in common? And it's not that they're all this week. Anybody have a guess? I'm going to tell you in a second, but if anybody has a guess, go ahead and put it in the comments. What they all have in common is that most people know about the first two, Mother's Day and Teachers Appreciation Week, but they don't know anything about Provider Appreciation Day. Provider Appreciation Day is actually this Friday, in case you didn't know. That is your day. If you're a child care provider, that is our day. So if you didn't know about it, and if your clients don't know about it, how about we start a campaign of awareness, all right? And I want you to do this two ways. They're all free. So the first thing I want you to do is click on the link that is in the show notes and go over and get your free poster and certificate for Provider Appreciation Week. Or I'm calling it Appreciation Week, but Provider Appreciation Day is actually this Friday. So when you get time, click the link, download your certificate and your poster, and then I want you to put the poster up. I want you to, and I know we're typically, as childcare providers, we're not really into self-promotion and turning the spotlight on ourselves. We're much more comfortable caring for others and promoting them. But part of self-care is acknowledging your self-worth. And Provider Appreciation Day, if you do it no other time of the year, that is the perfect day to do that. All right? It's not being selfish. It's not being pompous. It's not being conceited. It's not being any of those things. It is about acknowledging the profession, your dedication, and that's okay. That's okay. So I want to help you do that. I have created this poster and certificate, so I want you to click on the link and go over and download those things, and I want you to put them up. Okay? I want you to put them up somewhere where your staff, your parents, yourself can see it. So maybe that's by the sign-in sheet. Maybe you have a bulletin board at your child care. I want you to put it up. Promise me you'll put it up, okay? Because the thing about it is, Mother's Day and Teachers Appreciation Week, you know, by the way, it's Nurses Appreciation Week too, I believe. So I don't know why they've thrown them all into one week, like we don't have a whole rest of the month, or let alone the rest of the year. But the thing about it is, they had to have awareness campaigns too, okay? At some point, Mother's Day didn't exist. By the way, I think that was someone who started I don't know, you guys look it up and let me know. But I think it was, they were trying to promote selling greeting cards is the reason why that came about. But no matter, that didn't exist. Teachers Appreciation Week didn't exist until it did. And when it did, someone had to pass the word. Someone had to spread the word about its existence. Same thing with Provider Appreciation Day. Although that's been around for a while now, I believe it's been around since 1995, still most people don't know about it. And it's probably our fault. We probably are not doing enough to bring awareness to it. So I want to do my part, and I just want your help with that. I want you to go get that poster, get that certificate, and put it up. That's all you have to do, okay? Actually, no, that's not all you have to do. The second thing I want you to do is I want you to plan to do something for yourself, to acknowledge yourself on Friday, okay? I don't care what it is, but make it something that makes you smile, that makes your heart sing, and do it for yourself. Promise yourself that you will, this one day this year, acknowledge yourself, your hard work, your dedication, like I said, and your love for and passion for the field of childcare, okay? So choose something and come back here and share it with us. Let us know what and if you think you know what you might want to do, then please, hi Deborah Hurley, please put it in the comments and let us know what you might want to do. Deborah, what do you think you can do for yourself, or will you do for yourself, for a Provider Appreciation Week or Provider Appreciation Day on Friday? Let me know in the comments. Deborah Hurley's here with us. Okay. All right. So I want you to do those two things. Promise to do those two things this week, because it is our week. I'm saying it's a whole week. I know it's supposed to be just as she says, no idea. I want you to think about it. I want you to think about it and then come back. Come back and let us know, because it's your day. It's your day. We need awareness, like you just said. We need awareness. So the first thing is to be self-aware, right? So we need to acknowledge it ourselves and then spread the word, okay? And to that end, I have it in my mind to share your story and to amplify providers in our field. So I want to shine a spotlight on you this month. I'm claiming the whole month, okay? I'm just going big. I'm claiming the whole month for us, okay? So we have a brand new newsletter. It's called Sunday Sunshine, Weekly Wonders for Childcare Providers. And every week, this month, I want to share and shine a spotlight on a provider. And if you are willing, I would love that to be you. So if you would, in the comments, just you can leave your email, or I'll put my email, and then you can reach out to me. We do have a form. Actually, I'll come back in and I'll leave a link where you can just go and fill out your information. And I should have had that before the show, but I'll come back in and I'll leave the link, because I would love that to be you. I would love to promote you and lift you up and let you be an example to the rest of our fellow providers. So please consider doing that. Again, it's not being pompous, it's not being conceited. It is about being inspiring to other providers in your field. Some people, they're not having such a great time. They are struggling either to get started, or maybe they are struggling to stay in the field. And you never know what an inspiring, motivational excuse me, inspiring, motivational word can do for someone. I've had, I'm going to have to get my water. I have had family tell me that some of the motivational quotes that I put up for myself have inspired them. And so it keeps me going to know that, number one, I'm not the only one that needs inspiration, but that something that I'm doing is helping someone else. So think of it that way. It's not self-promotion. It is about mentoring and paying it forward and helping someone else. Okay? So please come back and click on that link and consider being one of our featured providers. Let me get my water. I'll be right back. Okay. I had got to get some water. Deborah Hurley says, maybe post awareness for future recognition. That would be awesome. So Deborah, click on that link after the show and go get your poster and go get your certificate so you remember to do that. Okay? All right? All right. Let's see. Okay. So earlier I talked about the Rise and Thrive Club. I actually have on the t-shirt. And we reopened our membership, the Rise and Thrive Club, last month in April, which is, like I said, a members-only community for childcare providers. And in the community, we have resources like courses, workshops, forums, expert webinars, and so many more tools to help you run your business. This week, we released a course on self-care, which a lot of us say we need, but we don't do anything about. I encourage you to go check out that course because it helps you to build a routine. And we know running our businesses that we have schedules and routines for just about everything. Even if we didn't at the start, we eventually do set that up because we know how more smoothly it helps our businesses run. But this helps you to develop a self-care routine so that you don't suffer the provider burnout that so many of us are very aware of and so many of us have actually gone through and had. So it really is essential, self-care, and we hear it, in general when people are talking about their mental health. Self-care is such a part of maintaining your mental health, especially as a child care provider. There's so many challenges that we face. And like I'm talking about with Provider Appreciation Day, the first thing you need to do is acknowledge that you do a lot, okay? And then give yourself grace and build in some things that, some healthy healthy boundaries that support that. And in this course, I actually am the trainer in this course. We go through the process of developing that routine for self-care as well as setting up boundaries that support self-care. So go over and check it out. It is our newest addition to our courses in the Rise and Thrive Club, but it's something that I hear providers talk about and say that we need, but the thing about it is it's something that we just don't do. We don't do for ourselves. Well, let's change that. Let's change that, okay? So there is a link in the show where you can go over and check out the Rise and Thrive Club. And like I said, that course dropped this week. Next week we have another course taught by the amazing Christina Camp. She did a workshop on meal planning and meal prep and saving money so that we can provide healthy and healthy meals at our childcare businesses that children actually want to eat. She also gets into some amazing tips about growing fruits and vegetables and having the children harvest that, and what role that plays in them actually eating more fruits and vegetables. So that will drop next week. But I just want to thank her again. She was amazing to come into the community as our guest expert, and she's been harvesting and growing fruits and vegetables with children for years. She's also been in the field for close to 30 years. So I'll let you know when that drops, but that is coming next week. And let's see, before we get into the questions, I just want to let you know, if you are someone who has a daycare dream but you haven't really started your childcare yet, we do have a new service in our shop called License to Launch, and we will walk you through and actually help you prepare your license, your contract, your policies, and get you pretty much set up, turnkey, ready to start your business. Can you imagine doing that now and then being ready by the beginning of the summer to welcome children and to help the families in your community when school is out to come into your quality child care program? So if you're interested in that, we do have a link to the shop where you can go over and check out that service and see if it's something that will help you finally get your business started. Okay? All right. So before we get into the questions today, I usually go to our planner, which that's the provider planner. That's our Stripe version behind me, which is our luxury planner for childcare providers. And I look to see what's going on this week, just in case there's something that we can use as a curriculum inspiration, or something that we can turn into a meal or an activity or a project or something like that. Now, I'm going to look, but I already told you that it's Provider Appreciation Week for me. It's week, the whole week. And Mother's Day is on Sunday, and it's Teacher Appreciation Week. So we already know that's going on. I know that it's here. Again, Provider Appreciation Day is Friday. Don't forget that. It's also a great time to send out Memorial Day reminders. I know we're not thinking about it yet, but in a few weeks it will be Memorial Day. It's a good time to maybe remind your clients, put it in your newsletter, maybe put it on your calendar, put something by the sign-in sheet to remind your clients if you are closed on Memorial Day. It's a good time to give them a heads up because they've got a couple of weeks to make plans. And then next week on the 14th, which I think is Tuesday, is one of my most fun days in the planner. It is National Dance Like a Chicken Day. May 14th is National Dance Like a Chicken Day. That is so much fun to do with the kids, okay? You can just simply announce that it's National Dance Like a Chicken Day. My daughter doesn't think these things are real, but they are. You can look them up, Google them. They are real national observances. But anyway, announce to the children that it's National Dance Like a Chicken Day. Turn on the chicken dance and have them just dance their little hearts till they're tired. But I think this could be so much fun. You can have them draw a chicken. You can maybe, if you have some feathers, which who doesn't have feathers? I've got feathers here, tell me why. Have them pretend they're a chicken. Have them dance until a feather falls off, and then they're out. I mean, just make up your own rules and just have fun with that. I think that would be great to do. Okay. All right, so let's get into some questions and see where it takes us. Okay, so first, I always start off with a question that I have for you, and I changed my question. I put a different question up in the on the page earlier, but my question for you today is, do you send Mother's Day cards? And I guess the extension of that question would be, did you get them out yet? I mean, it is Wednesday before Mother's Day. Now, I will say that I always have the intent to send out Mother's Day cards. There's about 5 people that I should be sending Mother's Day cards to. And the sad thing is that I always forget. I would buy the cards. I have them. I have a card box that it's a nice little pretty box like that with all of my greeting cards that I'll purchase early or whatever, right? And then I forget to send them. So this year, and I still need to go out today and maybe get a couple more. But this year I went to the box and I actually was able to find like 4 cards. So I was just able to pull those out, address them, and I got them out in the mail yesterday. So I'm really, really proud of myself. But Deborah, she says, I don't send cards. I just do gifts with the kids. Understood. I did that. I did that for years too. And you know what? I mean, a couple of the people, well, the people I'm talking about are in my family, right? It's not the children's parents, because that's kind of easy, right? To print something off and have them create a Mother's Day card. That was so sweet. You know something? One year we did a project, and I found it on Pinterest. For sure, I found it on Pinterest. And it was to take some polymer clay, and we did a thumbprint of the child, and I know I had to bake it, but anyway, poked a hole in it, and I don't remember what kind of string. I might have gone to Michael's and gotten some real necklaces, metal necklaces. I can't remember. Sometimes they have things in packs, so it's really not that expensive to get those necklaces. But anyway, so we made the thumbprint. Do you know that was one of the best gifts? I think I did a poem with that. Something that I don't know if it was in the Pinterest, in the article that I found on Pinterest or not, but I found a thumbprint poem to go with it. Oh my gosh. The parents, the moms were so excited about that. But what are you making this year? Oh, she said, we did Shrinky-Dink handprint keychains and a painted flower pot filled with Hershey's Kisses and a flower with their face on it to put in the pot. That's so cool. Oh yeah. Oh, they're gonna love that. They are gonna love that. Yeah. I mean, I think moms especially love all of the crafts and projects, the Mother's Day crafts and projects that we do, because they're memories, right? I know some of the parents that I've had over the years, they've kept those things, so they keep them till the children is grown, as you can imagine. So until the child is grown, as you can imagine. So, but that sounds like so much fun. I know the kids had a lot of fun making those, Deborah, I'm sure. Just like that thumbprint. I mean, I remember that to this day. And I actually went and got, the polymer clay was gold. I have a Michael's not too far from the house. So I got gold and silver. And I think, oh, I know what I did. The gold was for Mother's Day with the thumbprint, and then I had to do another one for Father's Day that was silver, and it was a keychain. I made it into a keychain. There's so many cool things you can do. I mean, especially for Mother's Day and Father's Day. But anyway, okay. So, answer in the comments. Let me know. Do you send Mother's Day cards out to either your clients or to your friends and family? Like I said, I got to go out this afternoon and get 1 or 2 more cards, and I still have time to get those in the mail, like today, with the hope that it gets there by Saturday. So anyway, all right, let's get into some questions today. If you read the notes about this episode, we're going to be talking about challenging parents. So it's kind of like the perfect segue that it's Mother's Day and we're talking about parents. Okay, so the first question today is, she says, parents make this job so challenging. I'm at the point where I might suggest that one of my clients find someone else. Every week it's a new issue or challenge, most of which I can't do much about. What would you say? So, what do you think? I'll tell you, whenever I ask in the groups or other providers what's some of the most challenging things about their job, typically they will say parents at the top. That will be one of the top ones. And I know that it kind of depends on the clients that you have. Not kind of, it does. It depends on the clients that you have. I have some providers that have wonderful clients, and they have wonderful clients their whole childcare journey. Christina Camp, who I was talking about earlier, our guest expert for next week's workshop, she told me during the workshop, she mentioned that her clients had gotten together, and when I was asking her about the most essential appliance in her kitchen, and she said the air fryer, which I absolutely agree about. Oh my gosh, they didn't make that soon enough. They should have made that 20 years ago. But anyway, she said that her parents had gotten together and bought her a big Ninja one. You know, I think it's the one that looks like a microwave where you can open the doors like this, you know, not the basket one. But anyway, I thought that was great. But listen, her parents got that for her. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I know her, so I'm pretty sure she didn't ask for it. It was something that they realized that she could use, and they all got together, and they appreciated her, and they gifted that to her. But, and I've had parents over the years that have done amazing things for me and my family. And some I still keep in touch with many, many years after their child has left care. And then I've had some parents that I was so glad they walked out that door. I was so glad when their last day. And it was kind of like what this provider's talking about. Every week it was an issue or a challenge. I mean, I've talked on the show about the tuition issues with parents and having to figure out how to overcome that and so forth. But I've also had parents that they would kind of project, right? They would project. I'm turning off my Alexa in the other room. They would project what I can only explain as feeling guilty about being away from their child all day. And so they would kind of take it out on me. They would be critical about everything. They would have demands that were outrageous, or just couldn't be, just like this provider, just couldn't be done in this type of setting. I had one parent ask me if I could, because the child was used to it, if I could go and walk with them in the backyard and rock them to sleep. And I had to explain to her that this was not an environment that supported that, okay? I had numerous children, and at the time, I think I did have an assistant at the time, but it wasn't, number one, it wasn't going to, moving forward, help the situation, because then they would become accustomed to that, and it wasn't something that I could keep up. Now, so when it comes to this provider saying what should they do, what do I think, first of all, get clear with yourself, like we were talking about earlier. It's not about not wanting to do something. It's not about being mean. It's not about any of that. Most of us have regulations that we have to follow, and stepping away from the children, like the scenario I just gave you, stepping away from all the other children to rock this one child to sleep, is not even health and safety protocol. Okay? So I'm going to come all the way back and say that in the beginning, which I did with this family, just like I did with most of the families at the tour, I explained to them some things. And this was different because when I first started my business, I felt like all the regulations and the things that I had to do to run my business were my problem. So I didn't share them. I didn't share any of that with my clients because I felt like, well, it's not their problem, it's my problem. Well, that doesn't make them aware. We were just talking about making people aware of Provider Appreciation Day. Parents, in my mind, need to be aware that we have certain protocols and regulations and mandates that we have to follow, okay? And so that they don't misunderstand that some of these things maybe we wouldn't have a problem with. However, it is not allowed. Okay, so that's one thing. Make them aware. Even if it isn't a licensing issue, let's say it's something that you discerned in your business that is or is not possible. Okay? Be okay with communicating that with your clients. And I would say communicate it early, like in the beginning or before they even enroll, so that you set the groundwork, right? And then, like I was saying earlier, have some grace with yourself and set up those boundaries that even you won't cross. That even you won't cross. I know that there can be certain circumstances. I'm not talking about emergencies or one-off situations that are out of the blue that you shouldn't make a consideration for. It's up to you. But as a standard, as a weekly practice, have those boundaries. I was just talking to a colleague this morning, and I was saying how a client called me, and I didn't have my glasses on. I couldn't tell who it was, and I thought that it might have been a family member or something. But they called. It was 5 o'clock this morning. And I didn't answer it. But I couldn't really go back to sleep because I thought, well, maybe it's one of my children or one of my grandchildren. So I got up and I put my glasses on to see who had called, only to see that it was a client. And first of all, I don't even know how that call came through, because I do have my cell phone set to not receive calls from this time to this time, unless it is one of my children or one of my grandchildren. I just, and even with them, I have set boundaries. I've told my children, if it's after 10, it better be an emergency situation, because I'm usually trying to go to bed or I'm winding down, okay? So they even know, if it's 10 o'clock, they know that I'm going to go in panic mode. So it usually is something important if they're calling me at that hour. But this client, I was stunned. I was really stunned, but I maintained my boundary. I didn't answer. And the next communication that I have with this person is going to be, please leave a text if it is not during working hours. That way I can see it when I have time and respond. But don't call me at 5 o'clock in the morning. Don't call me on the weekend. Don't. Those are the boundaries that I have. I won't lie, it did take me a long time to set up these boundaries and to actually follow through with enforcing them. But I want to challenge you to do that for yourself, because if you don't, what happens is you do get to the point where you're frustrated with dealing with your clients, dealing with parents. You're frustrated by them invading your family time or your downtime or your off time. And you start to resent it. You start to resent it. You start to resent your business because that's what comes with it, right? But a lot of times we need to be introspective and we need to come back and say, okay, what am I doing? What am I doing that is allowing this, that is telegraphing to this person that this is okay? I mean, literally, I at some point realized, okay, maybe I need to explain to them how to reach me, because a lot of my clients, not a lot of them, but some of them were fussing during different times that I didn't respond to emails. Well, see, they're not thinking that we spend our day with the children, not on our computers waiting for emails. I don't know when I'm going to see that email. Okay? So I realized, okay, let me let them know. Let me let them know how to reach me, when they can expect a response. So I went down the list. I was like, okay, this is the first form of contact. This is when you can expect to get a response back this way. This is another. We had a Daycare Notes app, and they could communicate through the app. So I think that was the first one on the list that I said would be the best way to communicate. But at the end of all that, I did inform them, hey, look, my first and foremost responsibility is to watch these children, okay? So unless it's an emergency, I will get back to you when I have the time to get back with you, okay? So I set that expectation, because a lot of times if I had answered that phone call this morning at 5 o'clock, I'm setting an expectation with that person that it's, number one, okay to call me at that hour, and number two, that I will respond. And so I squash that by not responding. I can show you better than I can tell you. I'm still going to tell you, but I can show you because I'm going to back it up. I'm not going to say, oh, well, no, because then the next time, then there'll be a next time. And then the next time. And I answered before, so they're going to have an attitude if I don't answer the next time. This way they know, oh, she doesn't answer calls at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay? So set up these, like I was talking about before, these self-care routines, and be okay with setting these healthy, better boundaries for yourself, for your business, so that parents are not always trampling over the boundaries. But we have to be the first line of defense, okay? Because if you get burned out and you want to quit your business, it comes out in the way that you care for the children and the quality of care that you give, and it could lead to you saying, I quit. And that's not going to help you. It's not going to help your clients. So that's what I have to say about that. Now, the next question kind of leads into it too, because the next question says, and I'm looking at the comments to see if there's anybody. Okay, I didn't miss anything. Okay, cool. The next question is, what are some essential elements that should be included in a parent handbook? This is perfect. That's why this whole episode is about dealing with parents. This is perfect. What I just said. Maybe we all know to put in our hours and days and hours, or hopefully we do. That's for me. My handbook was kind of an expansion of some of the things that were in my contract. My contract was rather long. I think it was 6 pages, the last one, and I was okay with that because I believe I was giving them the information that they needed. If you don't have a 6-page contract, I don't blame you. That's fine. Whatever works. If it's 6 pages, if it's 15 pages, if it's 2 pages, whatever works. If it gets the message across, then that's what you should do. But my handbook kind of expanded on some of the things that were in the contract, and maybe some of the things that were not. So I would get into more detail about my sick and illness policy in the handbook. Okay, like what temperature, what body temperature was too high, what would happen if the children were at care when they got this temperature, or if they were at home, what's the protocol, when should they call me, blah, blah, blah. And all the things about the sick and illness policy. Like I said a moment ago, most of us remember to put in things like our days and hours and so forth, but I did put in there how to communicate, how to contact me, and when to contact me, and when you should expect a response in all the different ways. Okay. I talked about the vacation policy, both mine and theirs, in the parent handbook. I talked about the procedure for withdrawal. So if they were going to pull out of the program, in the handbook, I talked about what the procedure is. Because for me, it was not a verbal exchange. That was not the way that was going to work. I maybe did that in the beginning, or didn't think to do something different in the beginning, but I changed to where there was a form that needed to be submitted. Okay? And I told them where they could get the form. So it is my opinion that throughout our journey, our child care journey, we need to go and make sure that things like our parent handbook support our policies and procedures, and if those change, go in and make the changes in your parent handbook as well. So whenever there was a change or a new policy, I would send out a memo, either in an email or through the app, or if I had to print it out, whatever, that this was either a new rule or a change to another rule, and that it would be reflected in the new parent handbook as well. So it's just about exchanging information and making sure that you have given that information. Now, that's not to say that just because you write it down. I was telling a client of mine, a coaching client of mine, a couple of years ago, I said, just because you write it down doesn't mean that it is the law of the land. It just doesn't mean that someone and everybody is going to follow that. You still, more than likely, are going to need to enforce, just like I was saying earlier, enforce those policies and procedures. Okay? So let them know at the tour what happens if they break some of these policies and procedures. There's some providers that say that's your ticket out. That's when you let the parent know that especially if they're mandated by licensing, health and safety type of rules that are disregarded. I can't think of anything right now, but if some of those things, when is that going to lead to dismissal? And maybe that's something that you talk about right at the tour. Okay? And not all these conversations are going to be pleasant to have, but they're necessary. You're a business owner. I guarantee we just don't pay attention to it, but if we were to go to Target, somewhere, either in their advertising or somewhere in their store, there are rules. Okay? And if we walked in there breaking the rules, there's consequences. So I would say some of the things that you would want to include in your parent handbook, like I said, of course, the basics, your hours, your days and hours, your sick and illness policy, your vacation policy, your withdrawal policy, your tuition policy. I told you that was a major issue for me. I put it in the handbook. How in the handbook it explains how that they could submit payment. So the different methods of payment that I used, and how it could be submitted, when it was due, what happened if it didn't come in, what happened if or didn't come in on time, what happened if I didn't get notification about their vacation, how much vacation, okay, when how much vacation was allowed over let's say the year. These details, this is a perfect place to put them in the parent handbook. And the last thing I'll say about the parent handbook is consider, if you don't know how to do this, if you do know how to do this, great. But if you don't know how to do this, consider finding somebody on Fiverr or someplace, somebody you know, that can help you upload your parent handbook in PDF form onto your website. Because that way you can always refer your parents to it. You can send it to them in an email, or you can print it out. On another episode, maybe I'll get into how I went from printing out all of the documentation or the enrollment packets to sending it in an email, and how I did that. It's pretty simple. It's really pretty simple. But consider uploading your handbook right onto your website, and then telling your parents from the beginning, if you ever need some information that's contained in your handbook, you can access it right on the website, so that there is no misunderstanding, and in the middle of the night when the child gets a fever, it's actually a good resource for them. They can go to the website, look up, and see, okay, they're too sick to go to child care today. How do I notify Miss A that they won't be coming, and how do I know what I need to bring them back when they're ready to come back? It's right there in the handbook, and the handbook is on the website. So it's just about exchanging this information, being comfortable exchanging the information, enforcing it, and setting up healthy boundaries, or better boundaries, as I like to call them, that support those things. And that will make it, I'm not saying it'll make it perfect. I'm not saying that everybody's going to follow it to the letter. I'm not saying everybody's going to be happy about it. But if you don't give them the information, if you're not transparent with how these policies and procedures are supposed to play out, how is anyone supposed to follow them? Okay? And finally, if you don't enforce them, then the likelihood of them following them is even less, right? So you have to be the first one to follow your policies and procedures. So that's what I have to say about the parent handbook. Let me know. Oh, Deborah Hurley said emergency plans. That is a great addition. Yeah, emergency plans. What happens in an emergency? I live here in California. I know Deborah lives in a different state, but here in California, we have earthquakes, not all the time like everybody thinks, but we do have those type of emergencies. And putting in the handbook what the emergency plan is for that. In other words, do they need to submit, do they need to include, when they enroll the child, do they need to send them with an emergency backpack? What needs to be in the backpack? Then if there is an emergency, do you have a different location where you're going to meet with them if there's a fire or something like that? That is great. Thank you, Deborah. That is a really good thing to think about including in your emergency, in your parent handbook, so that, like I said, this becomes a complete resource for your program, for your child care. And it's just about better communication with your clients. And we all know communication is key. If you have good communication, it leads to less misunderstandings and clarity. Okay, and that's what we all want, right? All right, so the last question is a provider. She says, Adrienne, today I learned that a family that's leaving approached another family in our parking lot, talking about their grievances and encouraging them to leave as well. Surprisingly, the only issue the departing family shared with me was about biting in the infants class. The rest of their complaints were never brought up to me. I'm concerned they might spread negativity to other families or leave a negative review. What should I do in this situation? Okay. Yeah, that's another thing. I'm going to pause for a second. Because that's a really tough situation. Someone told me early on I think it was one of my instructors, to say, we should expect that some of the parents are going to wind up either being friends or friendly, having play dates with their children, and they'll possibly be sharing information. So I was told that based on the fact that if you offer different tuition rates to different families, and that could very possibly come out. And either you need to realize that and have a way of supporting that, or consider a different practice when it comes to that. But Deborah Hurley says, have a sit down with them, and usually that it diffuses them. Yeah, I was going to say that. They are leaving. If they haven't left yet, I would do just that. I would talk to them, okay? Because there were some circumstances that I had with departing families that there were misunderstandings, and quite frankly, just like I was talking about the parent handbook a moment ago and the contracts and so forth, if I had followed my own advice and went back and read my handbook and my contract, I would have realized that it was plainly stated, whatever the issue was, I can't remember at the time, but the issue was covered in the handbook or the contract, and I could have just pointed them there. So that's why I tell people to go back, especially if you're new, quarterly, do a quarterly review of your contract and your handbook, and just, skim it, make sure that there's not something you want to add or change or whatever. But at least all of us should be looking at it once a year for those same reasons, because I actually forgot some of the details that were there, and that would have diffused the situation. I could have just pointed there and said, well, it's very clearly stated there. But like Deborah's saying, I would try and sit down with this family and let them know that you wish them well. The thing is, guys, not every child care is for everyone. That's why we talk about, just like other businesses, knowing their ideal client and really targeting their messaging to that client, and holding to that. Okay, and I know a lot of providers are having trouble with enrollment, especially with the rise of UPK. But let me tell you, you don't want that client that is not for you. If that client is for that child care down the road, that's where they should be, because it quite often can lead to misunderstandings and issues that you'll have to deal with. Now, just like Deborah said, like I was just saying, I would try and sit down and talk to this leaving family and try to diffuse their anger or grievances or whatever, and wish them well. And I have had situations like that where people did leave, but we were still on decent terms, and they actually still referred to me. So maintaining your own professionalism is key here. Having an empathetic ear to listen to their concerns. Also, too, she mentions that biting was an issue. A lot of us have had that situation. I think it's really important in those moments to be transparent to parents and let them know that, even though it's a very awkward situation and uncomfortable, but developmentally, it's kind of a usual thing. But talk to them how you're handling it. Talk about what you're doing to try and discourage this from happening again. Let them know that you are speaking with the families involved and that type of thing, and see if that helps. A lot of times, if we don't address something, it does more damage than if we did. Finally, one of the concerns she had was leaving a negative review. I have talked to child care providers that were so concerned about ever getting a negative review. Now, They didn't have any situation or anything. They were just so concerned that it could happen at some point that they didn't want to set up a website for their business. And I had to explain to them that in this day and age, you don't have to have a website for someone to leave a bad review. As a matter of fact, most bad reviews are not going to be on your website. They're going to be on places like Yelp or Google or any place else that they can, Facebook, any place else that they can put those things in anonymously, or they don't have a hurdle. As a matter of fact, I didn't ever have to worry about a negative review being on my website because I owned my website. Do you think that I would put up negative reviews on my website? That would have to mean that I put them there. So it wasn't an accurate concern. What we should realize is that it can happen. And I shared in another episode how it had happened to both me and a colleague of mine. And it's better to have forethought of how you might handle this if this happens. I realized that I could respond. It was my review was put on Yelp, and I took my time and I made a thoughtful response. And the response diffused the situation, just like Deborah was saying. It diffused the situation. It sucks when it happens. I'm not going to say it doesn't suck, but you know, these things happen all the time. You see bad reviews on Amazon. You see bad reviews on the other sites that you might go to. It happens. Sometimes it's warranted. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just somebody who, their whole life, they like to complain. And this is why you want to kind of zone in or hone in on your ideal client, so that hopefully that's less likely to happen. But you know, like I said earlier, not everything is for everyone, and just because you have a childcare does not mean it's for everyone. I will tell you for a fact, my childcare was not for everyone. If you had hours outside of my hours, then it was not for you, right? So things like that. These are also boundaries. But getting back, handle this in the most professional way you can. Talk to this family. Try to diffuse the situation, again, like Deborah said, and let it go. If they leave a negative review, be prepared to reply to the negative review, okay? And again, if the biting is something that it continues to happen right now, and it could happen later. Over the years, I had several biters. I did. And you know, the thing about it is you can never prepare. You don't know when they're going in for the kill. You don't know when they're going in for the bite. You know what I mean? And God forbid you're changing a diaper or you turn your head, that's when it happens, right? These things do need to be talked about. Children are going to fall. Set these expectations up with your clients in the beginning. It's not that you're neglectful or whatever, but they're learning how to walk. They're nonverbal, so they bite. Maybe look up some information yourself on why this happens, so that you can share this with the child's family and to anyone who may have gotten bitten. And I'll say this, and let this be the last thing I say about the biting. I had one child that had gotten bit, and the mom came back. She was upset, and she wanted to know who bit her child and how did this happen and what have you and whatnot. And I was really confused because at the time I didn't have anybody who was a biter. And I kid you not, right in that moment, the child pulled up their arm and bit themselves right in front of the mom. And I don't even know if I said anything after that, because it was so obvious that it was him doing the biting. I mean, the teeth marks and everything matched. And so she was sort of embarrassed, but And I'm not saying it was her fault. Maybe she didn't know that he was the biter and he was his own biter. I haven't had that happen more than that time, but these things happen. Strange things happen. Strange things happen at the child care. Deborah, have you ever had a biter? You probably have, because I know you've been doing this for a while, right? Have you ever had a biter, a child that, I have one that was just a serial biter, but he was nonverbal, and I believe, this was many years ago, I believe he was on the spectrum, but he was nonverbal, and this was how he was expressing himself. And, you know, like I said, it sucks, and you try and do your best, but trying to act like it didn't happen, or trying to conceal it from parents is gonna lead to problems. I promise you it will. All right, so we've gone a little bit long today, so I am going to end here, but if you have any questions for the show, you don't have to wait until the next show. You can leave your questions at thrivingchildcare.com/what's-your-question. That's thrivingchildcare.com/what's-your-question, and you leave your question there, and we will address it on next week's show. By the way, as you can tell, I was on here this week. I got my dates mixed up. Next week, we will be on a short hiatus, so we will have an encore of a previous show next week. I won't be here next week, but I will be back the following week. So join me back. I do want to say before I sign off today, happy Provider Appreciation Day on Friday. Please go download your poster, download your free certificate, post it, let everyone know that it is your special day. I also want to wish any of the mothers out there happy Mother's Day on Sunday. I hope you have a beautiful, relaxing, pampering, loving day. I'm a mother of 3. Actually, on Friday, my oldest son will be 41 on Friday. I'm ready to cry. I'm ready to cry. He's going to be 41. His birthday, he was actually born on Mother's Day, 1,000 years ago, apparently. But anyway, his birthday is on Friday, so I'll be celebrating pretty much the whole weekend long. But anyway, thank you for joining me here for the Daycare Q&A Show. I cannot wait to continue this incredible journey with you. Not next week, but the week after. You can come back next week. We'll have an encore of one of our previous shows, but I will see you 2 weeks from now. But until then, keep thriving. Thanks, Deborah, for showing up. Love ya. Bye.